don't know the power of sci-fi radio.
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe.
We would be honored if you would join us.
All right, it is another Thursday night. That means DB94. I am Sean Obi-Shawn Crosby.
This is Jeff Solo.
And Colleen's taking the night off. She's recovering from the flu still. And she is just wiped out. Let me tell you that for nothing. You could be listening to us on sci-fi.radio, sci-fi for your Wi-Fi. We should be up and better than last week where we had weird problems where we dropped. So I think we got those fixed this week. And you could be watching us on Facebook or Twitch or on YouTube or any variety of things like that. We encourage you guys to use the chat over there because we are paying attention. And Talon Thorne is first in.
Yep, I see that.
High five.
Nobody on Facebook yet.
Yeah, we'll get there. Anyway.
Yeah.
Hope it was a good week for everybody, and it was a pretty good week, I think. It was pretty decent, but
not bad. Yeah, a little bit of rain here and there.
We had a lot of rain here, and a lot of wind, and in fact, when I went to Disneyland, it was raining. There was quite a bit of rain. So, but yeah, it was fine. I enjoyed myself. Decent Disney trip. Did you work this week at all during the weekdays?
Yeah. Hey, Alan. Hey, Sam. Yeah. Yes, I did.
So did you experience rain while you were there or no?
Oh, yeah. Well, last night I was working, and hey, Don, Lady A. Yeah, it was. I got there and there was like nothing forever, and then like the last, I want to say, half hour or so that I was there, that it was raining, but not big drops.
Not terrible.
But it was raining heavy, but sprinkle size drops heavy rain. So you like the clouds went on a mist function, just covered us. But yeah, so
I have
of course it's different.
I have a fireman's turnout coat that I often wear in the rain, which is a little easier to maneuver around in than my long trench coat, my drover's coat. Both of them are waterproof, except the fireman's coat always confuses Disney security because it's got lots of metal buckles and things on it. So they like absolutely hate when I come through in it. But it was the right choice because it rained, but not horribly. I ran into Fonts there, and so that was cool.
Oh, really? Wow.
And
I've seen him forever.
And what's really funny is that he had never been on the train before at Disneyland, which was kind of like mind-blowing to me, right? And so, he took his first train ride, which was really cool. And I don't know how much... I assume he enjoyed it, but it's like, of course, if you take the train in Disneyland, it does a full circle around the park, and at the very end, you go through the Grand Canyon, which features a bunch of stuffed animals, taxidermied animals.
Yeah, literally stuffed animals.
But they're stuffed animals. and then you go through Primeval World, which is dinosaurs, that they had originally built, I think, for the World's Fair in 1964, and then brought them back to Anaheim, and they put them on display. And it just blows my mind. That was such a cool thing when I was a kid. He has never experienced that.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow.
Oh, my gosh.
So,
well, he has now. Gosh darn, man.
Right.
So we like that. Geez.
It's one of those things.
Different than, obviously, than when it was put in, because they added stuff, but...
Right. Well, the technology got better, to be certain.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's just...
Hi, Kelly.
You know how you say, when somebody tells you they've never seen a movie that you love, you're excited for them because you wish you could see it again for the first time and have that like overwhelming sense of how cool it is. You know, I love Star Wars, and I've seen it probably nearing 500 times in my life. And I think 300 of those times were in the theater. I mean, I lived in the theater watching Star Wars. And, you know, just the idea of being able to, like, re-experience that for the first time must be super cool. Although, as an adult, like, would you like that as an adult? Like, when I was a kid, a 10-year-old, Star Wars blew my mind. As an adult today, with the state of the industry and all the special effects that we see and stuff, would it still hit us the same way? Would we still be that much of a fan, or would it be a total miss for us because we're like, we've seen it all before?
I mean, we'd have to like ask Sparrow, because I mean, Sparrow saw Star Wars before, but never saw the original in theaters.
Right.
And so and remember, Sparrow went with us when we went to that special showing that had like Star Wars and Rogue One.
Yes. At the Visual Effects Society.
But and it was to me, that was still really great, because it's like, wow, I mean, it's, you know, all these things that I, you know, forgot were in here, because all I've been able to watch has been the freaking special edition stuff,
right?
Or the Blu-ray editions, you know, but you go back and see it, I'm like, you know, it's still, you know, pretty darn amazing for, you know, when they put it out, you know. So yeah, again, I'd have to ask Sparrow to see what they thought of the of seeing it in theater and the original, because Sparrow, up until that point, Sparrow had never seen the original, just the special editions and the Blu-ray editions, you know. That's it.
Yeah,
that's who I gotta ask.
Interesting how your time, your age affects, and your experience affects what you like and what you don't like. Like for me, I know people who are completely blown away with Avatar, and I'm just like, whatever. It was okay. I enjoyed it. Yeah. It was good, nothing. But I didn't even need to see the sequel.
Entertaining, yeah. Oh, hi, Lori. There's another person. So I don't know. There's movies that I've never seen before, and I don't know if I want to go back and watch them. Because, you know, more recent things, and people are like, "What? You've never seen that?" I'm like, "Well, I never really wanted to," you know. But like, you know, like, at one point it wasn't. This isn't really that. This one's not a good example, but it is an example. Was Ready Player One, and everyone's like, "You gotta see this," and I go and see it. I'm like, "Well, that's all right."
Well, it was
because it's just all nostalgia.
Yeah, like, it was the blender of everything we grew up with.
People loved it. Yeah. But it's just, for me, it was just, you know, hey, look at all the cool things we know. But that's me. Other people, I think, love it, but I'm like, it's okay. But there's other movies that I've never seen, and, you know, and people are like, what? And I'm like, yeah, I've never seen that. I've never seen that. And I'm like, why? Because I never really wanted to. You know? If it weren't for school, I wouldn't have watched The Godfather, okay? But I had to watch it for a film class.
Right.
I had zero interest in seeing the movie. You know, or like or films that people really love, and I'm like, like 2001. I hate that movie. Probably the same reason that almost the same reason that Colleen doesn't like it either.
Right. But, well, Colleen, who wanted to leap through the screen and kill the astronaut herself.
Yeah. Yeah. For me, for me, it was an overuse. Like they were, to me, they were beating a dead horse for the film, because, and I know they're just trying to be kind of artsy, but him sitting there and having lights flash by his helmet for like 15 minutes, whatever it is. Yeah. Like, okay, I'm done. I wanted to kill somebody. I'm like, why am I watching this? Oh, you know, and like, it's just irritating.
That's really funny.
So,
my trip to Disney was pretty fun. Like I said, I ran into Alphonse and Alexis was there too, and so that was pretty fun.
Okay.
And at the risk of being that guy and showing you my vacation pictures, there were a couple of things I thought interesting enough to take pictures of, and it was in fact a pretty good day. And actually, I had a couple of good days. I'll start a little earlier where. Remember,
oh boy,
in 2017 when we did Celebration in Orlando, Jeff, we had our friend who had the Stormtrooper truck.
Yeah,
and so so she came out with her friend Chris.
Yeah,
and they're taking a big round circle tour, which is super super cool. And her she didn't bring her truck. She was in a like an SUV, and they brought all their camping gear. And her friend Chris, one of the things he wanted to do was to go to Forest Lawn. He is a big, big, big fan of the Fast and the Furious. And I neglected to ask which of the movies, because it's like for
There's
me,
a lot.
the Fast and the Furious movies kind of stop at a certain point, because then they just get silly.
Yeah, well, it's another series I never watched, so I was just not interested.
I saw the early ones, and then I saw a later one, and I'm like, what the heck is this? I thought it was kind of strange. So this is Forest Lawn. Forest Lawn has a really interesting history, because it is one of the things that inspired Disneyland, because it became a huge tourist attraction, even though it's a cemetery. And it's got some famous people in it, but it's not like Hollywood Forever, which is like, here's where Marilyn Monroe was buried and that kind of thing. And so they have there are two very close together. This is the Los Angeles one. There's one in Glendale. And the one in Glendale has like replica art stuff. Like it's got a replica of Michelangelo's David statue.
Okay.
It has a stained glass replica of the Last Supper that's absolutely beautiful to look at. It's got other things like that. And so you can go and take an art tour of these things. And back in the day, in the 30s and the 40s and the 50s, this was a thing to do. You came to California, you went to Forest Lawn, you saw the beautiful things. And Walt Disney was friends with the guy who created Forest Lawn and made it a destination. And he was inspired by him when creating Disneyland.
Okay.
So this is the area that Paul Walker is in, if you're watching us on video. And his grave's pretty sedate. There's a fair number of tributes to him. No Hot Wheels cars, though, which were kind of a surprise. But
man, I tell you.
The Paul Walker, of course, died at a car show in the midst of making one of the movies, and he got in a car with another driver. The driver was showing off. He wrecked a Porsche into a tree, and they died. So it was pretty sad stuff. And so his brother Cody had to come in and stand in for him. He looks just like him, and he comes to some of the car shows that we do. So some of the shows that we've been at for like The Purist and things like that, Cody Walker has been there. He's a super nice guy. So anyway, on behalf of Chris, who's a big fan, we came and we did this. And of course, because our friend was also a Star Wars fan, we had to take her over to see Carrie Fisher. and they were doing some construction, so that was kind of hard. And of course, we checked out some other stuff. Like this is Liberace's grave, which is around the corner from Carrie.
Oh.
And if you can
Nice.
see, can I zoom in on this? I don't think I can zoom in on this. No.
Well, kind of.
Nah, not really. If you look, Liberace's brother George is there. So all those cartoons now take on a very different meaning. I wish my brother George were here, which is pretty funny.
Yeah.
This is somebody I have to look up. I'm always curious with people who put their signature on their tombstone.
Yeah.
And
Weird.
And so
Hi, Chris.
this is Obagi, and
Yeah.
it's Sandra Obagi, and I think
Yeah.
this is in relation to a Beverly Hills dermatologist, and so somebody with a lot of money who's like wellness to the stars kind of a deal. And so that was one I hadn't really seen before. And then of course right around the corner from Carrie is Ronnie James Dio from the band Dio.
Oh.
And if you look at this one, you can see all of the lipstick prints that are on it. Women come by and they lipstick up and they kiss it, and so all the little colored dots you're seeing there look like confetti. That is all lipstick, which is crazy. There's got to be 100 of them on there, and it's nuts.
Yeah.
And then of course our girls, Debbie Reynolds and Carrie Fisher, and there are no tributes there for their mausoleum right now because there's construction going on. It's really hard to get to. So
Okay.
nothing there for them right now. But on any given day, you can see lots of flowers and tributes and things to both Debbie and Carrie. And people are funny in what they leave. They leave Star Wars figures. They leave umbrellas and raincoats for Debbie Reynolds for singing in the rain. It's really funny. So yeah, so we went by there, and then of course afterwards, because we were so close, we had to go to Bob's Big Boy, which was right around the corner. There was a car show there that Paul Walker used to show up at periodically, and it happens every Friday. There's a car show because they do this car hop thing, and there's also a tribute now, and most of the stuff has been cleared away with the exception of one thing. But the Bob's Big Boy statue became a tribute to David Lynch when David Lynch passed away. And so there's still a portrait of him there that they're keeping. And David Lynch used to eat there a lot. You could see him there when you went to eat. He was very frequently there if you went during the lunchtime hour, which was cool. You could walk up to him and say hi, and bug him about Twin Peaks, which was really cool.
Of course.
And so this is the oldest remaining Big Boy, I think, in the country. A lot of the older ones.
Did he have coffee and pie though when he was there? That's what you gotta wonder.
He did, but I think he liked the milkshakes. I think the milkshakes were his thing there. The pie, if you actually want Twin Peaks pie and you're in Southern California, go to Dupar's, the Dupar's restaurant. There's one in the farmer's market, and there's a couple other ones scattered around California, and that's where the pies came from. So you can have actual Twin Peaks pie from Dupar's, which is really cool.
Yeah.
This is the car hop.
He might have had it there, Heck.
Right. Well, this is the car hop area for the car show, and they still will bring food out to your cars on the weekends, which is really cool. And this back part of the restaurant got turned into a Starbucks, which is weird. Not a strange place for a Starbucks.
Huh.
Like, what?
Yeah. Well, there's cars here. We should put a store here.
Exactly. And this was Disney. When I went to Disney this weekend, or this week on Tuesday, it was raining. It was overcast. Really kind of dour looking. But
Yeah.
It
Well, yeah, I worked last night, so.
yeah, I think it cleared up by the end of the day. It was crowded. There was a lot of people there at the park when I went, and I
Yeah.
didn't really venture on many rides just because it was tough. Um, every time
Yeah.
I go to Esmeralda's. This picture entirely sure why, but Kit always reminds me of Esmeralda.
Esmeralda?
Yeah, I thought it was pretty funny.
Oh, okay.
Um, I took a lot
Yeah,
of
it's a
weird
bandana.
pictures this
I don't
trip.
know.
Like this is the lighting in Dock Ondors, and I took a bunch of weird pictures like this just because I don't all the time,
Yeah.
and it was pretty good. So like all the in jokes and things, and it was really nice. I mean, I kind of liked the overcast stuff. Some of the flowers were blooming, like this cherry blossom tree down there,
Cool.
and
Yeah.
and then
Hey, Eric.
sunset hit, and sunset, and you can see that the rain is clearing up, the sun is going down, and it just made the park absolutely beautiful. Uh,
Yeah.
and I don't usually like sit there and take pictures of the sunset, but as the sun was
Yeah.
going down in this Frontierland Rivers of America section, oops, where did it go? Really? There we go. It was yeah, it
I
was
mean, you
just
had it there a little bit ago.
yeah, it was just gorgeous and kind of
Yeah.
really impressive. They've put some wrapping across the Golden Horseshoe saloon, although you can
Yeah.
still go in and get food and things, but it's getting a facelift
Yeah.
and some repairs. So
Yeah, they're doing refurbing it basically.
yeah, and it's really funny because in a lot of cases when they do this, they have a printed thing that they put over the front of the building,
Oh, yeah,
so you don't
yeah.
notice it. And this gets burlap. It's like yeah, whatever,
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
not a big deal. We're just gonna burlap it.
Well, they had burlap of the old west, so that'll be fine.
The moon was pretty cool there. This is just a quickie picture with my camera, but I put this here to
Yeah.
remind you guys that tonight, like happening right now, is the blood moon eclipse. So starting at
Dun,
7
dun,
p.m.
dun.
here in Southern California, and it's already going on, of course, on the East Coast. It's like 10 o'clock. At about midnight here in LA, and I assume also midnight on the East Coast. I know there's a 3-hour difference. We're supposed to see the total eclipse of the moon, but it's considered a blood moon, and basically what that means is the Earth is going to block the sun, but the sunlight is going to come through the atmosphere and illuminate the moon. And so the way you see the sun with a sunset, the sunset and sunrise that are happening on Earth are filtering the light from the sun, and
Yeah.
that's what's making it to the moon. And so that sunrise and sunset light that's usually red and orange in the sky, that's going to turn the moon red. And it's really kind of cool. So I'm going to
Okay.
go out there at midnight and see what we can see. And it's this is kind of rare. We haven't had one in 3 years, and this one is visible all across the United States. So wherever you are, you
Okay.
should be able to observe this, which is great. And if you want to see
Yeah.
it online, you can go to the Griffith Observatory website, and they're going to do a live stream of it. So if you don't want to go outside, it's
Oh, okay.
cold, or you have too much light pollution, or whatever, if you want to see it through
Yeah.
their telescope, you can go to the Griffith Observatory site, which I think is Griffith Obs. Let me check on it real
.org.
quick for you.
Should be org.
Yeah, I think it's .org, but yeah, it's griffithobservatory.org. And so that should have the live stream for you to view,
Sweet.
which is cool, or you can check out their YouTube channel. Because it really is going to be super cool, I think. And I love seeing these things. And it's
Yeah.
it's a lunar eclipse instead of a solar eclipse. Everybody makes a big deal about the solar eclipse, but this is worth your time, I think.
Yeah.
And then on my
What
way
time
out,
is it supposed to happen?
it's starting right now in LA. It should have been
Okay.
been happening elsewhere in the country, depending on where you can view the moon.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it does change across time zones, but not a ton. And so it may be in totality at like 3 a.m. over on the East Coast, where it'll be midnight here in Los Angeles. Disney has changed the way you get in and out of the park. They haven't fully implemented it yet, but if you look at this picture here, you can see that there are glass doors that open and close for you now as you enter. They are actively bringing you in and out of these things, which is a bit of a change. They've been implementing them, but not letting you in to them, and now they are. And eventually, your magic band will just get you in and out without the need for messing with a person. I talked to a nice lady who was helping us with the exit and making sure we didn't just like steamroll through the glass doors and that kind of thing, because it's new and different. These used to be turnstiles, and the turnstiles have been taken out.
Yeah.
And she said, I was worried for her because I didn't want anybody to lose a job. She says that's not the case. They're going to have people there monitoring, making sure that happens. And she doesn't think that anyone's going to lose their job over this technology, which is good to know, because I'd hate for that to happen. So when you go out, it has a little animated thank you screen with Mickey Mouse and, waving at you and stuff. And then from the other side of things, it has a kind of a sad Mickey going, "You can't come this way. I'm closed," which is it's really kind of funny.
Yeah.
And so
Don't let the door hit you.
Right.
On the way out.
But you can see here at the bottom of the picture, there's the Magic Band pad that will let you in and out. And then this screen can take your photograph. If you have a ticket that is new, they take your picture when you come in, and that is usually done by a cast member with a phone. This is now set up where you will arrange the picture yourself, and the cast member doesn't have to mess with it.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's good or bad. It's certainly different.
Yeah.
So it's kind of crazy. So I got to check out this system in detail last Tuesday, whereas like they've been up, but they haven't been using them a lot. And it was interesting to do. And you can see the little Mickey at the top of the screen that has a camera embedded in it, and it'll show your face on the screen, so you put it in the frame to take your picture. And like I said, as long as it's not putting any cast members out of work, I'm okay with it. I don't mind that. And things in Florida have been technologically advanced for quite some time. Like you were able to get in and out of the park with your fingerprint and use biometrics to get in and out of the park. So, we're not going that far here in Southern California, but it's kind of interesting.
But they've had the wristband thing to get in and out of the park for a while.
The Magic
for
Band.
A while.
Yes.
Too.
But
Magic Band, yeah.
But the Magic Band
also
had
your
to
hotel room and everything else.
Florida has. But here in California, the Magic Band had to be scanned by a human with their cell phone, and then they had to take your picture, and it's been complicated. This may streamline it. The weird thing about it, though, is it just seems too, like techno? So the front part of Disneyland has always been old-timey, and especially with the train depot in the background and stuff. And so, like if you look at this picture, this looks really high-tech. You got these glass doors, and they're all blasted glass, and it's got this
I know they put a little filigree around the edges, but...
but it's like brushed
not
steel.
So much.
And it looks like high-tech bathroom fixtures, to be honest. And and then there's the train station in the background,
really
and
quite enough.
The train station's like 1800s. So
I
don't know how I feel about it from a design standpoint. It doesn't seem to fit the aesthetic of the park to me. So that's kind of a
Not
strike
really.
against it. Anyway,
Yeah. So maybe they'll figure something out, or it'll just stay that way. Who knows? But
yeah, it's not a big
they
deal.
fix that.
Anyway,
Yeah.
it was a pretty good couple of days, and seeing Andrea from Florida and meeting her friend
Yeah.
Chris were
Yep.
really cool. And we just sort of said hi for lunch, and then they went back on their trip. They went up to Petaluma and to Big Rock Ranch up near Skywalker Ranch. And
Gotcha.
you and I, Jeff, we stopped at Imagination Park, where we saw the Indiana
Yeah.
Jones statue and Yoda.
Mm-hmm.
I sent them over there, and I gave them directions to George Lucas's house because I'm an anarchist.
Yeah.
Anyway, they seem to be having a really good time.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah. The most trouble I've been, if anything, really for me has been for Disneyland. I mean, when I go with the family, we have fun and go on stuff and get on the Tiana ride, get soaked. But working wise, and I don't want to get too much into this because they'll get in trouble or mad at me. Who knows? Disney.
Yeah, don't
But,
get fired over our show.
Yeah. We've had a lot of weird like instances with like guests and whatnot, or just the machinery in general. This past week, last night we had when I was there, literally on the line, getting people in it, ushering people into cars and out of cars. I think we had to pull like 4 or 5 cars, and it's like, because of mechanical issues.
Oh, wow.
So it's like, this stuff kept breaking down. I'm like, what's going on? And I'm sitting there on the hold, and I'm like, oh no, again, not again. And it was just, one after another, after another, after another. And I'm like, what's going on?
Do you think it was the weather?
Possibly the weather. I mean, some of these things, you'll notice if they have a clutch problem, like the clutch is burning out on them, and you'll smell it. You can smell the clutch going bye-bye. But usually what goes out on the most, I think, is the steering. Like the steering will stop working. And it doesn't really matter so much when you're on the ride. But people will say, I couldn't steer it. It kept banging back and forth. I'm like, oh, okay. And so they can't fix it to like adjust it, and not hit the middle bar. But it doesn't matter for the functionality of the ride if you can steer or not, because there's a guide beam. But it'll still bounce you smack you back and forth to the right and left, as you're making as the road curves.
Right.
That's usually what happens. That's normally what goes out is the steering, but other stuff is like the clutch will go out or something.
Well, and
Like,
interestingly,
it won't start.
on the Autopia, the steering, the guide track, like when you go to get on and off the ride, it widens into a wide track that you cannot steer off of. But once you get past that, it narrows down to one single thin rail, and you do have a reasonable amount of play in the steering to actually steer your car. So you can, the goal is to do the ride without smacking into that rail. That's the game part of the ride.
It's like it goes down about I'd say about 4 or 5 inch wide, maybe. That's about as thin as it gets. But as wide as it gets is like so that it basically is how far apart the guide wheels are into the car. And that's where you pull it when it pulls into the down by the loading area of the platform. So that whole length of that is pretty much the wide part. So it has very little back and forth. But it's like, but there's not really any part that I know of on the ride where it is actually completely the width. So
right.
Even on the platform, it could wiggle. But yeah, and I believe what's going to happen is also in the summer there'll be problems. From what I understand, I don't know. I hear that the cars don't do very well with all the heat in the summer, so that's going to be fun.
That's really funny.
But whatever. You know, that sort of thing was happening with the rain and whatnot, and like cars going, and then like some guests, not behaving as a good guest probably should. So,
Gee, that never happens.
yeah. You'll stop, but they just keep going. And they clearly heard you. But you can't really do anything about it.
That's funny.
The deal, but it's just funny. My other part of the week was literally was still looking for, because I look at preface this is that the stupid Jaws costume. Okay, so anyway, on the boat, Brody wears a gray button-up shirt that's open over this other turtlenecky thing that he wears when he's on the boat. And I found a gray shirt, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, no, I can't really use this. It's got plaid crap under the collar and behind the collar.
The weird flannel lining parts of it were really a bummer.
Yeah, couldn't believe it. So I tried to take. I went through and like took some of it off actually, and it just turned out terrible. I'm going to throw the shirt away anyway. But and as we're looking, and I've been looking constantly, like I've been trying to find this dumb shirt, and I can't find it. And then Sean finds a picture and like zooms in, and I'm like, I've seen that shirt like 3 or 4 damn times.
I know, and I feel so bad because I sent that to you weeks ago. I went up through our chat thread and I grabbed it from where I posted it a couple of weeks ago, going, find a shirt like this. And I guess I didn't call enough attention to it to go, this is what you're looking for. Because I went into the video of the movie and I screen capped it so that you could see what you were looking for.
See?
And I guess I should have called more attention to it.
It has white thread and white thread and more of a physical thing done to the material of the shirt to make it heathered.
It has a cross hatching
make heathered
to
shirts normally.
Yeah, instead of heather, which are blocky, cloudy looks, it's got cross hatching to it.
Yeah.
And the buttons are white. And the one that you found on that bid site is actually pretty decent.
Well, the one that was a Poshmark, and the trouble with it was that it wasn't cross-hatched. It was literally it just looked like heathered, kind of, because the way it was dyed.
Oh,
and
I thought it was pretty good.
But the collar was nice. And then the other one that I sent you a picture of, like a ways back, I was going, well, I found this one. It doesn't look right because I'm looking for something that's a solid gray. Like, oh, that's not right. I can't get this one. I put it back. And I've seen that exact shirt like 3 or 4 other times. And and it's the exact damn shirt that I keep going, no, this ain't it. So now you just have to go back to the thrift stores and see if they still got those, because they probably do. Wah, wah, wah.
Yeah, I thought that...
Damn costuming.
And I keep looking at Goodwill, and I keep finding things that are almost the same. But you know what I do keep finding? Is I keep finding really good, like, police shirts, but they're all gray. And which is really weird. And so it's like I keep finding shirts that would be pretty good for Brody, but they're gray and not tan. Yeah. So it's like, But you have that covered already. You found a shirt that works for the police shirt. Yeah, I've got a shirt and a pants and all that. The only thing I need for that is the for the deputy outfit, or I'm sorry, police chief outfit. Right. That I don't have is the badge. And I tell you, man, I have completely ripped apart the internet looking for a 3D printable badge. It's amazing. I can find so many different badges you can print. None of them are right. And the metal ones that people make are like $70, $80. which seems like too much.
Like, except that French one, which I haven't done yet.
Right. The French one is actually an English one, and it's a pin. It's flat, and it's a metal pin that was created by Numbskull, which is a company. It was only available in Europe, so you have to have it sent from there. And we do keep finding it for like 20, 30 bucks, which is better than 60, 70, 80 bucks. Don is posting over in the chat. He wants to do Quint with us. And so he was asking how movie accurate we're being. Really, it depends on you. Like I am OCD about this stuff, and so my stuff is like way movie accurate, except where it's cost prohibitive. So I'm not buying the $1,500 watch that Hooper wears.
Nope.
But by the same token, I have Hooper's glasses. So like I have the exact glasses that Hooper wears. So it's
you already said
or at least close enough that I'm willing to spend, because his actually have the cable earpieces on them and stuff like that. So I mean, I could extra crap. But I when you're wearing them, nobody's seeing what they look like. So for if you want to do Quint, Dawn, just look at the pictures and match the pictures, because the basic goal is that people look at you and know who you are. If they look at you and go, it's a homeless dude, then you have failed. If they look at you and go, oh man, that's Quint from Jaws, then you have succeeded.
Almost did. Yeah. And Brody, I wanted to have two different costumes in case I wanted to wear one or the other, and that's what Sean's actually got going on too. Yeah. But I already have the pants and the shirt and the boots that he wears for the sheriff. It's just the damn badge, and I may just send off that $40, whatever it is, to get the one that's coming from England or whatever. But that's also a roll of the dice, because I could send them $40 and nothing will come.
Well, and that's part of the problem we've been having for a lot of things, where we've been looking at something. I've found all sorts of great things that I was going to buy, and then it turns out that somebody just swiped pictures off the internet, made a fake shop, and you would never get the thing you bought because it's a scam. Yeah. And we've seen that for the badge a couple times. We saw that for the leather duffel bag I was trying to find. That was Hooper's duffel bag. Yeah. And so like my duffel bag is close, but it's not accurate because you can't find something from 50 years ago. It's just nuts. Yeah.
I can for sure get the badge right now if I wanted to spend $85 or $80. I could get it right now.
Right.
But I don't really want to spend $80 for a badge.
Well, but there is always one thing in the costume that is a lot of money. It's like the expensive piece of the costume. For you, it's the badge.
Yeah.
For me, it's that stupid watch. Even just getting the watch band and putting it on a watch, that's $250 that I don't want to spend. So,
yeah, I have to get like a I think the only thing left for the beach for the outfit where he's on the boat is something that'll mimic the gun belt.
Yeah.
You need and the shirt that I'm going to go back.
Brody's police duty belt.
Yeah, the shirt.
And the next time I go to the Army Navy store, I'll look and see what they have, because they usually carry belts like that. It's a 2-inch thick leather belt with a square buckle and 2 prongs. And we also have a lot of uniform stores here in Southern California. So, but you don't want to spend $60 for a belt.
Yeah, I think it's like weirdly rectangular buckle.
Yeah,
that he has on it.
It's a standard police belt. It's like a weird rectangle.
And it's going the other way. I would expect a rectangle one to go the other way. Like lengthwise, but it's going vertical.
Right, because it's got a curve around.
It's really weird.
It's got a curve around your body, and it's what you're saying is it's portrait mode and not landscape mode.
Yeah.
And that's
and wider than the belt in that regards too.
it is, yeah. But it's because it's part of a excuse me. It's part of a uniform. It has to have a certain look to it. That kind of thing.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Yeah, and that's the problem with
my goodness.
replicating a costume. One, to be screen accurate, and two, to find one made out of parts that are 50 years old, because times change, styles change, all of that, all that kind of stuff.
Oh man, I gotcha. Hi Matt. Hey Mario. Yeah.
Chris popped in.
I mean, I think that's all you have to get. Yeah.
Sorry.
That's all. But that's all I got to get for the is for him for the boat is that gun belt stuff, and the shirt I'm going to pick up tomorrow if I can find it again. The other one, just the badge.
Right.
Which, boy.
So there are two things. I think it's this weekend here in Southern California. I think it's Free Museum Day.
Gotcha.
It's called the Free for All. Oh, it's Sunday. Do you work on Sunday?
At the moment, I'm off on Sunday.
Because one of the museums on the list is the Academy Museum of Motion Pictures, and if you have enough of your Brody costume, we could go down there and take a picture with the shark.
Oh, okay.
Which would be a blast, and we could do it for free, which would be super cool. So here, just for people, if you're in the Southern California area, the Academy Museum of Motion Pictures, American Museum of Ceramic Art, Autry Museum, Bowers Museum, the Broad, African American Museum, Botanic Garden, Columbia Memorial Space Center, Forest Lawn, Getty Center, the Holocaust Museum, La Brea Tar Pits. All of these are free. And there's like an even longer list. The Skirball Cultural Center. They're basically, you can ask them for free tickets. LACMA, the LA County Museum of Art, is in there. Museum of Contemporary Art is in there. So there's a lot of museums you can go to this Sunday that are free if you want to do a museum crawl and not break the bank.
Yeah.
So you can go to socalmuseums.org and look at the annual Free for All 2025. But I mean, it would be pretty fun to go to the museum and look at, take some pictures dressed as the Jaws characters. And then Alan posted in our thread that in June, the Upland Public Library is doing a discussion regarding Jaws at 50, because the movie turns 50 this year. And of course, it was a book before it was a movie. And that would be very fun to participate in costume. So I'm down for doing all the Jaws stuff.
Oh, the other Chris. Yeah, totally, man, totally. So let's see what we can accomplish and get that going with that. So we'll see. Except tomorrow.
Right. Never a dull moment.
Should we do the Star Wars?
Yes,
prep?
let's. I think we can get that in before we hit the top of the hour. Star Wars history. Go for it.
Yep. Oh, golly. Here we go. March 11th, and this is only related because of who made the darn movie. March 11th, 1971 is when THX 1138 was released. I'm assuming this means the theatrical release in theaters.
Yes.
Because it had been in other incarnations before that.
It started as a student film that George did at USC. Yep. And then he got a budget, and he got Robert Duvall to be his lead actor and created a theatrical version of his short. And it is Star Wars related because the number 1138 turns up in all of Lucas's projects as an Easter egg.
Oh, yeah. I know.
It's on the back of one of the battle droids in Episode 1. It's on the license plate in American Graffiti, and but I think where is it in the first Star Wars? It's part of the princess, where the princess is incarcerated.
Oh yeah, cell block 1138.
I think so. Yeah, she's in section AA23, and then I think she's in block 1138. Anyway, so there's a whole bunch of Star Wars references with 1138.
Oh yeah.
So much so that our friend Craig Miller, who was the head of fan relations for Lucasfilm in the early days for Star Wars and for Empire and for some of the other projects, before he went on to do stuff with the Muppets, he has that as a license plate. He has THX II38, which is great. So, yeah, I thought that was really fun.
Nice. Cool. Oh, man. We got our second one. We have March 8th, 1977. And that is when the first issue of Star Wars for Marvel Comics was released or published, or whatever you want to say. Hit the book stands, or hit the newspaper stands of the comic shops.
Yep.
If there were comic shops yet. And then it would go on for 107 issues, ending in 1986.
In 1977, I had already read the book like 3 months previously or something. No, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
Like 5 months previously, because it came out in November of 1976. And I got comic books in two places. We didn't have a comic book store when I was a kid. We rode to 7-Eleven, where they had one of those revolving racks, or 2 or 3 of those revolving racks.
I
of
remember
comic
those.
books.
Yeah.
And Kmart. And Kmart was that the comic books were shoved in the back by the pet section where they sold fish. And because, Kmart was a full-service department store, so of course they sold fish.
I remember that, yeah.
Goldfish and stuff.
I remember those. Yeah.
Right? And so that's where I got my first Star Wars comics, where I got issue number 1. And then eventually they came out with the supersized version of the comics, which were like a 4-up of regular comics. They were absolutely huge. And they broke the 6 comics into 2 issues, because the first movie took 6 comics to tell the story. And yeah, man, I absolutely loved those things. And the large size comics, the super sized giant editions, were phenomenal because they just took the pages, and the pages were almost the size they were actually drawn in. Because when the artists draw them, of course, they're larger, and then they shrink them down for the comic book.
Yeah.
I loved
like
them so much.
Or something like that.
As a kid who was legally blind, had limited vision, those things were amazing. And you used to be able to get Batman comics in that size. God, I loved those things.
Yeah.
They were the best.
Yeah.
But seeing the Star Wars comic book come out so much earlier than the movie, like almost 3 months before the movie, we were just eating that up. And which, of course, led to disappointment, because you're reading the comic book and they introduce you to, like, Jabba the Hutt. And then you never see Jabba the Hutt because they cut that scene.
Yeah. Hey, if they use the same dialogue anyway, so,
Much of it is close. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. And I always loved, one of my favorite covers is, like, number 2 or 3 in that series, where all of the aliens are attacking Ben and Luke in the cantina, and Ben's out there, he's got the lightsaber out, he's ready to take him out, and Luke, in the midst of this gigantic fight that never happened in the movie, says, "Swing that lightsaber, Ben, or we're all done for," as if there was enough time in this fight for him to actually talk.
Yeah.
It was so cheesy,
comics.
so bad.
It's like a radio show, like a radio drama. Usually, they would put something like that in. Hey, we have not took out those 2 killers.
Right.
Yeah. As a side note, because you mentioned Kmart, um, um, I always thought that it would be funny as hell to make a parody of the midnight special
Yeah,
from CCR,
yeah.
but do it as the blue light special.
It's a blue light special. I'd be surprised if nobody did that because that was
Oh,
pretty
there it is.
great. I threw
I know.
I threw that
Never
cover
happened.
up, by the way, for Star Wars number
Yeah, I
two.
see it.
It says, "Swing that lightsaber, Ben, or we are finished." And
Yeah.
and they're being attacked by like 20 guys.
Yeah, there's like a guy with a parrot's beak or something. I don't
Oh
know
my
what those
God!
things
It's like, yeah, some of them are right from the movie, and some of them are
Yeah.
like, who are those people? There's a
Yeah.
guy at the bottom who looks like he's a Ninja Turtle. Like,
Yeah.
what? But yeah, the covers were like things that never happened. And there was actually a change in comic books where they went from
Yeah.
showing covers like this, that were action scenes that kind of related to the action in the comics, to poster covers where it's like, here
Yeah.
is just a great picture of Spider-Man. And a
Yeah,
lot of
yeah.
artists got really upset when they started doing that. It's like, stop doing poster covers. It has nothing to do with the thing. And, yeah, some old school comic artists got really mad
Oh yeah, totally.
at those things. But yeah, I loved the original Star Wars comics were bad. I'll tell you that right now. They were just cheesy as hell and not well drawn in most cases.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, look at the yeah.
Like Carmine Infantino or somebody. I don't remember who was drawing these things, and they were just cheesy. And if you look in the upper left hand corner, there is a picture of Luke Skywalker here. I'll zoom in, and he looks like Conan. It's like,
I know.
why does Luke look like Conan? It's like long flowing locks, and he's like, and then eventually, of course, we'd get He-Man, who looked a lot like this too. It just makes me laugh so much. Absolutely love the old comics.
I know. I mean, I'm answering a message here. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I had like tons of comics, not just Star Wars, but it was a matter of like, that it was I loved Marvel the most, probably because they just had some different kind of characters and such. But like back before Black Panther, you know, was ever a movie or anything, I had a ton of the comics that they did of that, and it was called and I got them at swap meets for like a quarter or something, because oh, look at this this old Marvel comic, like no one's going to buy these. I'm just going to sell them to the swap meet. And if I still had them, boy oh boy, I don't. But it was like Jungle Action,
Right.
featuring Black Panther and stuff. And then he got his own series, which is called Black Panther. But like all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, oh man.
Well, and the thing that amuses me about that stuff is that we read these, of course. We got the comic books, we read them. We didn't like put them up. We didn't hide them in the corner.
Yeah,
save them
very true.
for the future, that kind of thing. And so
Yeah.
I've been lucky enough because I have lost my comic collection several times over the years, and I wish I could say that I sold it for a bunch of money and then fell into more comics. Now, in a lot of cases, it's like my
Yeah,
mom
no,
threw
no.
them out, or my aunt stole them, or whatever happened to them. And I am fortunate enough that some of these have come back to me over the years. So I do have the original 6 comics. And then when I get extras, I share
Okay.
them with other people, going, these are my spares, take what you want.
Yeah.
And Legends Con was a convention
Yeah.
that happened like 2 years ago. Our friend Ryan was involved in that, and it was very specifically set to talk about the expanded universe that Disney sort of no longer acknowledges. And I got to moderate the panel on comics, and I brought all my extra Star Wars comics. We passed them around
Nice.
the room so people could look at them, and then I told people to take them home. And it was glorious because people were like, "Oh my God, I can really keep this. This was my favorite issue of the comic." I'm like, "Take it, love it, enjoy it.
Yeah.
Do not send it to be graded. Do not send it to be put in a slab. Read it and love it.
Yeah.
And use it for what it's for."
Yeah.
And that was so much fun.
A bunch of and it wasn't even all of them because you had like another box of them that that you gave to me a while back, and so like, oh, Sparrow has those right now.
Exactly. And like every time they come to me, and look, if you're getting rid of them and you don't want it, you're not hanging on to them for an investment, you want people to love these comics, get them to me and I'll get them in the right hands. I do that with toys too. Anything that comes to me that I think people will appreciate it, from kids to collectors, and with the proviso that you don't slam them in a box and, save them for money. Let me jump in here really quick.
Exactly.
Change gears here. You guys are listening to sci-fi.radio, sci-fi for your Wi-Fi. That's our radio station. Sci-fi.radio has been going on for about 17 years. This show has been going on for 13 years and some change. And we've been talking about the Week in Geek for longer than we care to admit. But sci-fi.radio is a URL. We've got nerd news up there, trailers, videos of the day, all sorts of fun stuff to distract you from the craziness that's going on in this country. And I encourage you to take advantage of it. And I encourage you, if you like this show or you like whatever you're hearing over on that radio station, which broadcasts 24/7, we have a handful of live DJs. I do the morning show every morning. We've got David, who does Strange Transmissions, which is a Dr. Demento kind of show. We've got Gary DeBaum, who does a Tuesday night and a Friday night show. And then, of course, the founders of the station, Gene Turnbow and Susan Fox, do an interview show called The Event Horizon. Got all sorts of stuff going on over there. I didn't even list it all. If you like what you hear, consider our Patreon, won't you? And keep the station going, because anything that doesn't come in through Patreon, the station founder's got to dig into his pocket. We license our music. We're not a pirate station. And so give that a thought, won't you? I like to think of us as NPR if the N stands for nerd. So, give that a thought, if you would. We also broadcast this show on Twitch. And if you are subscribing to us over there, you guys are heroes. Thank you so much. We also do YouTube, and we do Facebook. And really, this is our opportunity to hang out with you guys. We would be having the same conversation if we were all in the same room having a party. We would be talking about all the same stuff. And this is what we do instead of having poker night. And it's a blast. I'm Sean Obi-Shawn Crosby.
This is Jeff Donoho.
And on behalf of Colleen Kaylee Crosby, who is recovering from the flu, thanks for joining us tonight. And also for Boba-Kit Sovine. She does our control document with all the topics we talk about. She does the Docking Bay 94 Facebook page. And so all the funnies and news stories and things that you see over there come from her. So say hi to her if you like what she posts. So we're grateful to have her really donate a whole bunch of time to us that none of us get paid for this. So this is
what the heck?
This is what we do, and we always appreciate Kit.
It's like we're paying for it, other way around, right?
Right. Yeah. That's kind of it. So, but anyway, where were we?
We have one last bit of history, and then we're up to the other stuff. So, our last piece of history for Star Wars. March 13th, 1979. That's when a fire broke out at Elstree Studios, just before they started to film Empire Strikes Back.
What it did do, because they weren't doing Star Wars there yet, it destroyed one of the sets for The Shining. And Stanley Kubrick walked in. He looked around at his destroyed set. He started laughing, and that was that. They were done with whatever they were shooting on that set. It's kind
And
of
they
crazy.
put it out with water and made that the Dagobah set. No, I don't know. Just kidding.
Right. What he made Shelley Duvall rebuild it by hand. It was
a
part of
hammer,
the
get to work.
torture
Oh, man.
he put her through. Oh my gosh. Let's see here. So this has been going around. I thought
Stop.
that we
Yeah.
had known about this because I pointed it out to people in the past, but it's making the rounds now as an Easter egg in the Phantom Menace, which of course came out in 1999. And there was a set extension that they did. You okay over there, Jeff? Gonna make it?
I'm being rough. I'm being bugged by Poe because he's here with me, so he's coming over here and bumping me with his mouth and
I
nose
see.
and stuff. I want to go somewhere.
Dog attack.
So
this
hey, Chris.
this
Anyway,
thing
go ahead.
here, there's a set extension about 2 hours into the movie where our heroes on Theed have just grappling hooked up the side of the building, come into the hallway. They're about to rescue the Queen's stand-in. And in this hallway, there's a portrait, like a cameo, up above one of the archways. And that turns out to be George Lucas. And I always thought we knew this, but it's come to light again. And of course, with Disney Plus and 4K and all this kind of stuff, it's a lot easier to see. But it's so small that you have to really look for it. And it's not the focus of the action either. As they run through the set, they pan past it. And it's part of the digital set extension. And so one of the artists, Jet Green, added that and apparently mentioned it to George when he came through to approve the scene. And he thought about it for a while, and he's like, do I really want to let that in the movie? And then he's like, yeah, okay, go ahead. And so they got it in there, which is fun. And this article doesn't have, let me see if I can find it. There's a piece of art that was a painting that it was taken from. That if you know all of these art things that have shown up, it was a Drew Struzan, piece of Drew Struzan art. Of course, Drew did all sorts of terrific posters. So it was taken from this piece of art. And so she took it, clipped it, put it up on that archway, and it was a nice little cameo for George to get him in there. And George approved it. He allowed it because he figured nobody would pay attention to it. And for the most part, he was right. So so that was kind of cool. And
you just wouldn't see it.
Yeah, and so that was just
it's like the was in like Raiders of the Lost Ark, when you see where you have to like pause it, the movie, get up real close and like go frame by frame just so you can catch the glimpse of the hieroglyphic.
Right, of R2D2 and C3PO on the archway where they're taking the Ark out in the Well of the Souls. Yeah. So apparently somebody just recently confirmed it in an interview that this happened, and it was Jet Green, Caroline Green, who said, yes, we did this, and so now that it's in 4K on TVs, but I thought we remembered seeing it in the theater because we went to see the movie a whole bunch of times, and we spent a lot of time just like looking at the sets and looking at everything, trying to take apart the CG to see what was real, what was not, and that kind of thing. And I thought I remembered seeing it and mentioning it to somebody. But
yeah, I don't know.
but it's so small that it's hard to tell. But when you're in a movie theater, it's like a 1.5 feet tall, and that was was pretty good. But yeah, with Lucas, she thought she was going to get in trouble from George, and he looked at it, and she brought up the scene, and she zoomed in to show him, and George got really quiet. She says this. She says he looks at it and he goes, "Oh, naughty, naughty." And I said, "Yeah, but it's you. It's your face." And then there's silence again, and I'm just sitting there with everybody. And for some reason, I can't describe the feeling, but I knew that I wasn't going to get in trouble. A few more tense moments go by, and then George says, "Okay, leave it in."
Exactly.
That's pretty funny stuff. I love Easter eggs like that, and I love that George didn't put himself in a lot of things, but I love that other people did it for him.
No. I mean, physically, he was in like the third movie, but
Right. Yeah, he was.
That's about it.
He was in episode 3 as Baron Papanoida. He was a Smurf. They painted him blue.
Yeah.
He and his daughter were in the opera crowd, walking through the opera house.
Yeah, I think they later on created recreated him for like the Clone Wars, an episode of the Clone Wars or something. But I don't know.
I think that's true too.
Look that up again.
And I won't pretend that that George came back to like do the voice or anything. But yeah, you're right on that. And in fact, I will throw up this image here that is the character.
Yeah.
So that's him in the Clone Wars, and it does look enough like George that you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, totally gives you the idea. That's George.
Well, that's great. So that's great. And George, of course, worked on the Clone Wars with Dave Filoni. Dave Filoni
totally
basically trained with George on that, which is what makes him the Star Wars guru that he is these days.
Pretty much, yeah. That's for sure. Yeah, I mean, then other folks that work on that seem to know what they're doing. So
right. So
not too worried about it.
Giancarlo Esposito wants to come back.
Yeah.
To Star Wars.
Yeah. But it's like what he says in there is kind of odd. He's like,
well, he's kind of odd.
And why? Yeah, it's like, he says there's a big movie coming out that's focusing on Mando and the child. I can't say it'll be that, but I hope to be able to join that franchise again because I think there's more road for Moff Gideon. And I'm like,
I thought we saw him die.
You can't say it'll be that? Huh?
Right.
What now?
Well, I thought he died. Didn't his character die?
Yeah.
So
yeah, he died. But the thing I see about it is that he died, and supposedly all his clones. But were those all his clones? That's the only thing they could probably do.
I guess that's
he could
true.
be another. They could bring him back as a clone.
Well, basically, what he is saying is that he's not currently in The Mandalorian and Grogu. He says, I can't say it'll be that, which tells me he's saying I'm not in it. We could be wrong. I mean,
yeah, that's what it should be. Yeah.
But who knows? It's Star Wars. They do what they do.
Yeah.
People don't stay dead. They cut Darth Maul in half. He came back.
Jeez, I know. After man is to be.
Actually, what's really funny is, what was it? Breaking Bad, maybe, that Giancarlo Esposito was in, and he gets like half of his face blown away or something. It's something really awful and graphic. And I keep remembering that and mixing that up with The Mandalorian. Because that seems like such a Mandalorian way to go. But it was really Breaking Bad.
Oh, totally.
It's like really, really terrible.
Yeah.
So, what's Daisy Ridley got to say?
We'll see. Daisy Ridley. It was just basically her. How do we put this? So I don't see the actual comments by. Oh, here we are. Says, I believe that she's talking about Kathleen Kennedy. Says, I believe that she's very involved. I think there was reporting that was not true. So yeah, very involved. So that's what she says. And then like, if the rape project was postponed or something, and says, I don't know, but and then after Kathy said her thing, but it was like,
well, we discussed Kathy Kennedy last week.
Significant role, yeah.
Right, where somebody said, yay, she's retiring. And then Kathy Kennedy's like, I'm not retiring. I will never retire from movies. I will die making movies. Which was great. And I spend too much time doing this. Spending time explaining what Kathy Kennedy does and why, if you don't like something involving the stories they're telling, don't blame Kathy Kennedy because she's not writing the stories.
Yeah.
Go blame Dave Filoni.
Yeah.
Go blame Jon Favreau. There's a host of other writers. Talk to the people who are creating the stories. She may give them the thumbs up when they come to her and go, we're going to tell this story. She'll look at them and go, great, sounds good, do a good job. Here's your resources that you need to make the movie. But she doesn't write it. And, it just annoys me. But we'll see.
Yeah.
I like Daisy Ridley. I'll be glad to see her come back. I'd like to see them tell a good story. And I would like to see them write the 3 movies before they shoot one frame. Do all 3 of them. And go, story 1, story 2, story 3.
Get it done.
They're all connected. Tell one story in 3 acts. I think that just works better.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah. The problem is that George didn't do that. He had outlines for all the movies, but he didn't have like all the scripts written, and there was a lot of flexibility in there. And so people look at it and go, oh, we can do Star Wars by the seat of our pants. And I don't think that's when it works best.
Yeah.
I think George got lucky, and I think that George also made a terrific decision to direct the first one and then let other people do the second and third one.
Because that way he could work on all the other crap, and not have to worry about it, worry about who's directing.
Exactly. And I think that if they plot it all out, they have the chance to tell a really good story. Rey needs a redemption because too many people are like, oh man, Rey, what a waste of space, and that was stupid. But it was George who came up with the idea of a female Force-imbued character who then hunts down Luke Skywalker to be trained. That was George's idea for the sequels. And that's what J.J. Abrams started with and ran with. So, I don't think it necessarily was a bad idea. It was a thing. It was part of a story that George wanted to tell, even though they didn't stick too closely to his story to do the rest of it. And I'm okay with it. I think it's fine. But she needs a redemption in a proper story that tells more about her. Like they have the opportunity to do flashbacks and show her learning or using the Force as a natural ability, even though she doesn't know she's a Force sensitive kind of a deal. Because we certainly saw that happen with Luke Skywalker. Luke Skywalker was a terrific pilot because he was possessed of the Force without really knowing that that's what it was.
Yeah, exactly.
And he
didn't bother to do anything with Solo, but same thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And so they have the opportunity to fix some stuff that I think J.J. Abrams got wrong. And I hope they do.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Rise of Skywalker. Anyway,
I liked Rise of Skywalker. Thank you very much. Or no, not Rise of Skywalker. The Last Jedi. Sorry. Yeah, Rise of
I
Skywalker
love
had
it. Yeah,
problems.
Last Jedi. I love that.
Right.
Rise of Skywalker.
Rise of Skywalker had problems. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So are you going to make a purchase in the future?
Not for that.
Gonna buy a chair?
Not what's coming up, dude. Jeez Louise, man.
Do you guys know what Regal Robot is? It's a company that was started by a guy who was doing all sorts of really terrific prop restorations and recreations. A very talented guy, and he started a company called Regal Robot, and they do a lot of unusual, like, home decor stuff. And they like, do you want a Tauntaun head to mount to your wall? They do it. Do you need Han Solo in carbonite as your coffee table? They do it. And so they are creating two things that are kind of interesting. One is an office chair shaped like the Millennium Falcon's cockpit chair, and it's on like a typical office chair base, and it raises and lowers, and it's like an office chair. It just looks like a race car seat, kind of. Because I feel like that was just a bucket seat that they grabbed like off the shelf and put it in the Falcon cockpit.
Yeah.
From the 70s.
Pretty much. That's what it looked like.
And then the other thing they're doing is they are creating the cargo containers that you see everywhere, not only in Star Wars, but in a bunch of other things that that are in like British produced movies. We were talking about Elstree Studios. These things got left around the studio after Star Wars, and they turned up in all sorts of stuff. There's a great picture of Farrah Fawcett sitting on one for a promo thing that was like for Saturn 1 or something, whatever the movie she did.
Oh, Saturn 5, yeah. Oh boy.
Was it Saturn 5? I think
it was 5.
I always think of Saturn 5 as the
that's the
rocket.
Spaceship, isn't it?
It was Saturn 3.
It's a different number.
It was Saturn 3.
Yeah. Because 5 was Lost in Space, right?
That was
Saturn 5.
Jupiter 2. Was the
Jupiter
Lost
2.
in Space.
Who was Saturn 5?
The Saturn 5 was the actual real rocket that NASA sent people to the moon on.
Oh, there we go. That's why I get fun to get mixed everything up today.
And that's why that's why we get all messed up. And it's funny, oh, here we go. I found it.
Whoa.
I'm like,
there's almost 1,000 smackers. Good golly.
Right? Isn't that a bummer? Here we go. So here's
Louise,
the here's Farrah sitting on one of those crates.
Yeah.
Oops.
Yeah, what an outfit.
Right?
That was like Kirk Douglas was into that movie with her, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Sure it was Kirk.
And it was one of those like really old guy with really young hot chick kind of things. It was awkward.
Yeah, and a killer robot. Yeah.
Right. Because always a killer robot.
Yeah.
Anyway, so these crates have been around. So, hey, if you're going to make that Farrah costume, you're going to need one of these. It's interesting. You can use them as an end table or do whatever. Our friend Gregor recreated the 2-up of these because there was one that was like 2 side by side, and for our Rebel base when we did it.
Yeah.
This chair
wood
is pretty cool also, but it's like $1,500. And the guys who do it, who create this stuff, are super, super talented. And I'm trying. It's Tom Spina, who ran Tom Spina Designs, and he loves Star Wars. He's had some really interesting stuff that he's created over the years. He's fixed all sorts of really amazing props where he's
I've seen a lot of his
restored them and whatnot.
restorations of masks and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's pretty amazing stuff. And so, I mean, if you have money to burn, I can see it. I don't.
Yeah.
And, you know, I mean,
no,
it would be
no.
great to do this show from that chair. You know, you have to deal with my
Oh,
little
yeah, of course.
red, you know, net office chair or whatever. It would work great with your background, Jeff, for sure, but not for $1,500.
No, I know, totally. No, yeah. The real background is a wall and a blanket. That's what's behind me right now. But you can't see that, so all you see is the Falcon behind me.
Right. Exactly. All right.
Wow.
Why don't I do our rest in peace section, and then we'll do
Okay.
free for all.
Like 4 of them.
Yeah, there are a couple. Tony was a band from the 80s and 90s. It Never Rains in California, Anniversary, Lay Your Head on My Pillow, a bunch of stuff like that. Has passed away at the age of 64. Dwayne Wiggins did, who was a founding member of the group.
Oh, okay.
He had bladder cancer for the past year, and of course, if you were of a certain time period, you heard his music with the R&B group. His brother Raphael Sadiq was in it. Their cousin Christian Riley became Tony, and of course, they're all spelled differently, just to mess you up.
Yeah.
So,
Of course.
they showed up in '88 with some songs as a R&B group out of Oakland, and then they hit it in 1990 when they did some kind of neo swing kind of stuff that was really cool. So sad to hear of his passing.
Yeah.
Brian James passed away at the age of 70. He was the guitarist of the group The Damned. He passed away at 70, just to give you an idea of how old punk is getting. They haven't listed a cause of death, but they were basically the first punk band in the UK to release a single in 1976. And also the first in the UK to do a studio album in 1977. And then, of course, they came and they toured the United States. And if you were a punk fan, they were a staple. They beat the Sex Pistols to the punch. And everybody knows the Sex Pistols, but few people know that the Damned were there first. So,
Yeah.
sad to hear of his passing. Bob Rivers passed away at the age of 68. He was a fellow radio host and best known for all sorts of amazing parodies. If you listen to my show, especially around Christmas, you hear all sorts of Christmas parodies that he did. He would do Motel 6 commercial. It was like, Manger 6, we'll leave a star out for you, and that kind of thing. And just all sorts of incredible parodies and whatnot. Sometimes under his name, sometimes under other people's names. And
Gotcha.
if you were in the Pacific Northwest, you totally knew him. He passed away from adenocarcinoma, which is a cancer that attacks the glands that line the organs of your body. And he was stage 3 when they got him. He went to stage 4 pretty quick. But that was in 2022, so he got an extra couple of years, which was great. But oh my gosh, the Bob Rivers show had something called Twisted Tunes, and they just parodied the heck out of anything. I should do something on my show tomorrow, I think, for him, because he was just incomparably talented. And you probably heard his stuff, like on Dr. Demento and stuff, and not even known.
For sure.
Yeah, because it was good enough, and this is kind of a testimony to how good his comedy stuff was, is that if you find it, very frequently it is listed as Dr. Demento. Or not Dr. Demento, Weird Al Yankovic. And that's what happens to anything that's a good parody. If it's a quality parody, somebody thinks it must be from Weird Al.
Yeah.
And that happens
Richard Cheese.
to everybody. Right. Simon Fisher Becker was in Harry Potter and Doctor Who, has passed away at the age of 93. You may know him from Doctor Who as the strange and kind of milk toasty blue alien that appeared in a few episodes. Dorian Moldavar was the character, but he also was in Doctors, which is the soap opera about doctors, and he was the Hufflepuff ghost, Fat Friar, in the Harry Potter series. But he had 3 episodes of Doctor Who under his belt. He was in the ensemble of Les Miserables for the Tom Hooper version of that in the movies, and all sorts of stuff. So sad to hear of his passing at the age of 63.
Yeah.
All right, what you want to talk about?
Exactly. What a bummer. Okay. So, was it? There was a. Let me look if I could. Okay. Well, I'll start with this one because it's fun. Starting March 28th and going through April 27th, Knott's Berry Farm is going to be bringing back the Boysenberry Festival. So, which will have, of course, like they'll have special foods and stuff for that, which are boysenberry tied to, which have boysenberry in them in some form. And then merchandise and whatnot, and also vendors. People will come in and have little, not really booths, but sort of booths,
Right.
The canopy one, easy up things and such, whatever, but they're selling whatever, like things from tea to candles to, to special, knitted items and hats and whatever else. There's just a large number of things that's like a crafts fair that comes in, so to speak,
right,
with these folks.
I remember going to Knott's Berry Farm last time I was there with you, and we kept finding like all of this sort of leftover stuff from Christmas and from other things that was, and I love boysenberry stuff. I cannot even tell you how much I love boysenberry. And it was really interesting to like go after the fact and get all of these like cookies and jams and stuff that they were trying to get rid of. So the Boysenberry Festival seems pretty epic.
It's about the only time that I can get. They also sell a bar soap that's boysenberry. It's the only time you can actually get it.
Really?
I think is that time, and it's only in like one shop inside the park.
Wow.
So you can't even get it outside the park anywhere.
Does it taste like boysenberry?
So yeah, I mean, if you try, I suppose, but it's probably better than it's probably better than what is that the palm olive or whatever that Ralphie had to have, but or Bright Boy,
right? Life Boy. Oh, fudge! Only I didn't say fudge.
Yes. But of course, boysenberry juice, as they call it, is boysenberry punch. You can get that like all year long.
Yeah, and that's
But,
I have to have a
there.
glass
Yeah.
when I go. I absolutely love it. It's like getting a mint julep at
Yeah.
Disneyland. That's one of my Knott's traditions.
Exactly.
So good. I love boysenberry so
Yeah.
much.
Yeah. And if you have the little drink package or something, you can just go get it anytime you want.
I know.
Just walk in there and give me.
You remember the movie
Fill it up.
Elf, where Elf's like, I love syrup. That's me and boysenberry. I totally
Yes.
like. Oh my God, is
Yeah.
it boysenberry? I will put it in my face. They
Oh,
make
yeah.
those little sort of jammy Dodger cookies with a drop of boysenberry in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, yeah, absolutely
Yeah.
love that stuff.
Yeah.
Nom, nom, nom,
And
nom.
it's like, and the special stuff they have for the food festival that goes throughout is there's a lot of things that are specifically, I mean, basically all of it is specifically only for that time period. And there's some really good stuff. There's some stuff I think is kind of maybe a little dodgy, and as like you're like, really, wait, really, but otherwise usually it's really good stuff.
All right. So a friend of ours, I think you've met him, Jeff. I know Colleen has.
Probably.
Brian
Who knows?
Kessinger, who's the guy, he does the young Kylo Ren, Calvin and Hobbes art parody / tribute, and he's a super talented artist. He's done Victoria and Otto, which is his steampunk pair. He has been
Yeah.
posting on his Facebook page that he gets to work on a new ride for Smuggler's Run. He's doing concept art for it, and they're going to add the Mandalorian and Grogu into the ride. So they're trying to figure out how they are best going to be doing this. I'm going to go to Brian's page here real quick and look at some of his concept art, because it could be great. So, of course, Galaxy's Edge has been open for 6 years. Smuggler's Run has not changed in that time. We had the original Star Tours ride for something like 21 years or something before they ever changed it.
Yeah.
So getting a change 6 or 7 years into the ride is fine. The stuff that they're doing right now looks really great. The picture that we're showing here is of Cloud City. It's got the Millennium Falcon, and it's got the Razor Crest in there, which is kind of cool. And yeah, there's a few pieces of art that he's showing that, and there's no telling exactly what the story is going to be yet. They're just throwing out ideas, and he is illustrating them, and it's pretty neat.
Oh.
But one of the things that is happening with Galaxy's Edge is they're starting to relax the timeline, where it only takes
Yeah,
place
thank goodness.
between episode 8 and 9. I think they've realized that that's a little more unworkable with all the new content they're generating. And so now that they've got Fennec Shand, The Mandalorian and Grogu, Boba Fett, all of these new Disney media characters walking around Galaxy's Edge, and they mostly seem to be limited to the marketplace, which is fine. They don't seem to go past that area into sort of first order areas like the Resistance base or Docking Bay 9, which is where Kylo Ren's ship is and that kind of thing. So they stay to the marketplace. But making a change here in the ride for Smuggler's Run is kind of an interesting thing. And I don't know yet if they're going to do it like Star Tours, where it's random and you get a different experience every time you go, or if they're just going to do one new ride film and then change it over. They could make it like Star Tours, where it's different every time, really.
Totally slot machine it,
Yeah, and so the way Smuggler's Run works is there are 4 turntables of 7 simulators each, and they rotate. You get in, and it starts rotating, and then they put another one in, and they rotate, and another one in, and another rotate, and they just keep that going. And so
Yeah, yeah.
basically that's 28 simulators that they could all be different. They could do 3 different films.
Oh, yeah, totally.
They could do 7 different films. I mean, whatever they want to do. So let's see what kind of money they spend at it and what kind of cool stuff that they do. And but I mean, the art looks pretty great. It's all concept at this point. I'm happy to know somebody who's working on it, who's excited to be working on it, and he is a Star Wars fan, yo. I mean, it's great.
Mm-hmm.
So I know he's not going to do us wrong. So as long as he's involved, very excited for that, and he's excited,
nice.
which is even better. He hashtagged it with Dream Job to tell you how he feels about it. So yeah, I think it's going to be absolutely amazing. So we'll have to see.
Nice.
Yeah. Eric points
cool.
out that there are, in fact, 2 ADA pods, one on each. There are 2 Millennium Falcon interiors, and there's one for each of those. So technically, there's like 30 of these pods, but they're not part of the rotational system because they're ADA compliant, and they're not part of the rotator thing, which is interesting. So.
Oh, okay.
But just in the interest of being complete. There you go.
Oh, yeah, totally.
All right, what do you got, Jeff?
But there it goes. Okay, hear me?
Yeah.
Can you? Okay, cool.
Yeah, you sound great.
I hit a button and I thought it just turned my mic off, but we're good.
Nope.
Okay. Yeah, what I was thought I would bring up, which which I think has been hitting some of the costume nerdy folks lately, is that okay? Years ago, I used to pick up a little magazine that was primarily comic book oriented, called Wizard Magazine.
I remember Wizard
Magazine. Where it's going from here. Yeah, and they don't make it anymore. I think it's all online now, or something. But if it is at all, I don't know. But I used to pick it up, and it was kind of neat. You could see all these different art, all the upcoming comics and stuff, and I just ignored whatever garbage someone might be saying on there. But now the one of the guys that works for this wizard, I don't know if he's like the founder or whatever he is, Gareb Seamus, he claims that he invented cosplay.
Oh God.
In the mid-90s.
No.
I was like, I know a couple of folks that might disagree with you there, buddy. But Forey Ackerman and then another for the first actual cosplay, and then the person that saw people, a man I don't remember his name. He's from Japan, but he was here and he saw people going to conventions and whatnot in costumes, and he termed it. It was the mid '80s.
Yeah. So
he termed cosplay.
The Worldcon was here in. Actually, let's go back a little further. The first Worldcon, in 1939, I think was in New York, and Forrest J. Ackerman, known as Forey Ackerman, who went on to create Famous Monsters of Filmland magazine, was there with his girlfriend, Myrtle Douglas. Her fan name was Morojo, and she made costumes for her and Forey that were from the movie Things to Come, I think, which was a pretty recent sci-fi movie. And so they went. They went to the convention in these costumes, and people went, "Oh my God, you can wear costumes here. We hadn't thought of that." And so they became the first couple of costuming because we didn't have cosplay yet.
Yeah.
And Morojo should get like a lot more credit than she does. Everybody goes, hey, Forey Ackerman, sure, of course. But Morojo did.
Yeah, there we go.
And he thought, Forey thought, and
Proper
Morojo
credit.
thought that everybody was supposed to wear costumes at a science fiction convention. And they turned out to be the only people who did. But next time, the next convention, they had a masquerade in Morojo's room. And they're like, hey, you got a cool costume? Come on up and we'll judge you and stuff. And so that went on for quite some time. And then, of course, people started wearing Star Trek costumes and things like that. But in terms of cosplay, Takahashi is the name of the guy who came back and did a report into Japan and trying to make costuming palatable to a culture that did not do that. And doesn't that seem strange to say that the Japanese did not like cosplay? Because it seems to always be the case, right? And so he came back, he did this report, and he created this new term to try to get them to embrace it. So we always called it costuming. And up through like the late 1990s, we called it costuming until cosplay came back to us, and now it's called cosplay. And I always still feel cosplay sort of sells it short, but it is the term that we accept now. It's what we use. I've had to suck it up and get over myself and start using it. But this guy, and I love Wizard Magazine. I grew up with Wizard Magazine, playing D&D in the 80s and stuff. He can get bent. He's way wrong. He's way wrong. The Rocky Horror Picture Show, people were cosplaying at that in 1975.
Oh, totally.
You know, I mean, come on. What a turkey.
I know. I'm like, durr.
Yeah, dude's a turkey.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's a lot of history. And honestly, if you want a good history, go to Wikipedia, look up cosplay. It's got a great history. Gives lots of credit to the people who deserve credit. And talks about the history of all of that. And it's completely worth it. So go check that out if you want to. Because, he can get bent. He's wrong. What a weird thing to try to take credit for.
I know. Good grief. Like,
dude.
Really, dude? Really?
Yeah. Walt Disney is scaling back on their Snow White premiere. The live action Snow White movie is getting a lot of guff. One that Gal Gadot is the evil queen, who needs to be fairest in the land. And a lot of fans don't think that Rachel Zegler is up to the task of dethroning her. She's cute. She's pretty. But is she prettier than Gal Gadot? Well, that's not ringing true for some people. They're like, really? Gal Gadot is your evil queen? And she's the one who's supposed to be not as pretty as Snow White? So anyway, the Hollywood premiere of the film is happening on Saturday. Usually they do a big deal, but it's going to be small. They're going to have a screening, a little bit of a pre-party. Rachel and Gal are going to be there. But usually they have tons of fans out there lining the carpet and all of this kind of stuff. They're going to play it much closer to the vest. There's going to be photographers and a house crew. But anyway, there's a lot of people who are worried about the film and how it's going to be received. Some people are being weirdly racist because they're like, Rachel Zegler is a Latina actor. Why did you choose her? She was in West Side Story, of course.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really understand. I mean, it was like the original Disney version. It's like, hey, look at all the whiteys.
Right, exactly.
It's completely white.
Peter Dinklage is not happy about the movie's portrayal of little people, although I don't believe he's really seen the film. He's only seen stuff that's come out.
I think he's because they didn't hire any little people.
Yeah.
Is also why. Because
Right.
they just,
I mean, that could have been, but they didn't really
CG.
hire little people to do The Hobbit. So, you know,
No,
what do you
but
do?
they did. No, for the. I don't know about The Hobbit, but at least for Lord of the Rings, they did use little people for a lot of shots.
But they didn't use them as the primary actors. They used them as stunt people, and they used them as forced perspective things, and also children.
Yes.
They didn't bring a lot of. Star Wars had more little people in major roles than than the Lord of the Rings did.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So anyway, there's all sorts of stuff going on. Gal Gadot was in the Israeli army, and people are getting political over that. There's just all sorts of stuff that are blowing this up, and of course, there were protesters in front of the latest Captain America movie. I think that's just what we do now. I think we just protest everything. Ziegler didn't like Donald Trump, and so the MAGA people are mad at her. Everybody's just getting mad at this movie. So they're playing it close to the vest, keeping it kind of quiet. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see how it turns out. I mean, I haven't really been a fan of the live action versions.
Right.
You know, I've never understood the reasoning behind it. It's just a cash grab to me.
Well, I understand it, and I could be wrong about this, I believe it is a way to reinvigorate their copyright on their specific story. So like Snow White is coming into the public domain.
Action,
People are going to be able to do anything with the animated version, and so re-upping it with a live action version, I think reactivates the copyright on the Disney specific version of the story. If someone out there is a lawyer and wants to correct me on that,
that's possibly
please do.
Yeah, that's more than likely what it is. Yeah. But I don't know. I mean, I liked the ones that they were doing that were off of a bit, that were a different take. So like Maleficent, I kind of like the first one. I never saw the second one. First one, and it was because it was a different point of view.
Right.
I'm like, oh, this is cool. I like that they did this. And I didn't really want to see a Sleeping Beauty movie because I already saw the cartoon version. Why do we need a live action? But they just kept doing it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What do you got?
And we got 8 minutes, but I have one that's not too long either. Spider-Man. I did not. Okay, so I'm prefacing this because I didn't read the damn article. Okay, I put it in here just because I want to talk about the idea. So, they've already done a few comics with where they take the character from the Predator movies. Like Arnold Schwarzenegger and Predator, the Predator 2, the Predator, blah blah blah, Aliens for Predator, Prey, all these movies. And they've already done comic versions of it. So Dark Horse has done a ton.
They fought Black Panther at one point, I think, and they fought Wolverine at one point.
Yeah, and they fought Batman, and stuff like that. So, and in this instance, it's going to be Spider-Man, and I'm like, I want to kind of see this because I like the original Predator movie, and the subsequent movies that were okay. Prey was amazing. Prey was a really good movie. And my favorite comic book character of all time is, of course, Spider-Man. So I want to see this. So I didn't really read the article because it has spoilers in it.
Oh, okay.
I want to get the comic and read this first. But it looks like it'll be fun. So hopefully.
Well,
it ends up that way.
The non-spoiler version of the article is basically everybody wants to write for Spider-Man. Benjamin Percy is doing the writing on this. He's very excited to do it because he gets to write for Spider-Man, and who doesn't want to do that, right?
Oh yeah, totally.
And so they're looking at occupying Peter Parker's world and then throwing this in, and they want to. It's going to be darker than some of the other Spider-Man stories we've had. So he's already faced off with Venom and Carnage, and they're going to go even worse than that. I mean, it could be really dark, darker than we want to go. We'll have to see how it because the Predator is a gruesome
Yeah.
enemy.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it sounds fun. I would read it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, totally. I do definitely want to see this, see what they do.
So this is a little weird. We have friends
Probably.
who have OnlyFans accounts. And for the most part,
yeah,
a lot of them are cosplayers, and they do sort of sexy pinup stuff. No sex
Yeah.
stuff, but you know
No.
they use their figures to make some extra scratch, and some are more successful
Yeah.
than others. Jesse Cave, who was in
Yeah.
the Harry Potter movies as Lavender Brown, has decided to start doing OnlyFans because she's got to fix up her house. She's got arsenic wallpaper. She lives in an old house. And so her wallpaper is poison. The roof needs to be fixed. She's got stuff like that. So she's joined OnlyFans. But before you get too excited, she's not doing any sexy stuff. She's doing
No.
what we used to call in the toy business hair play. So she's going to talk about ways to do her hair. And if you remember Lavender, she always had these great curls and all this kind of stuff anyway. So she's sort of playing off that, playing off her Harry Potter notoriety. And she's like, she's going to do ASMR with the hair. She understands that hair is a big fetish for people. She's completely embracing that.
Probably, yeah. Yeah.
And she's very happy to be, to kind of blow off her goody-goody image. And she says she's ripping up the Good Little Actress rule book. And she's doing something naughty, but not too naughty, because it's just hair, right?
Yeah.
So nothing crazy.
Yeah.
So
there's
we'll
nothing
have
wrong
to
with that.
see what's going on with that. Lily Allen, who was a singer-songwriter, says that she makes more money posting pictures of her feet on OnlyFans than she does from her music career. So I don't know. Maybe this is a good thing.
Yeah.
We'll
it's
we'll
just
have to
bizarre
see.
sometimes, but-
And she's not the only actress who's having trouble, or
yeah.
performer who's having trouble with stuff. There's a singer from In Vogue who is having some issues where she just announced. This is Dawn Robinson from In Vogue. She has announced that she has been living in her car for 3 years since COVID.
Yeah.
Things got rough. She didn't have a lot of money. She wasn't getting along well with her family. She moved into a hotel room that her manager provided, but that was expensive. She felt bad about it, so she moved into her car. And she just sort of announced this on social media, and you're like, oh my God, she's living in her car. How terrible. She loves it. She thinks it's great. She's like completely got in touch with herself, not having a lot of stuff,
Yeah.
being off the grid. And she says this. She says, it's not like, oh my God, poor Dawn, she's living in her car. It's terrible. Woe is me. I'm learning about who I am. I'm learning about myself as a person, as a woman. And,
Yep.
you know, she was having some financial issues too, but she's been doing it for 3 years. She says, it felt like I was on a camping trip. It was the right thing to do. I didn't regret it. Her ex-husband has apparently offered her some kind of job. I don't know if she'll take it or not. But of course, she was in Vogue, who did "Free Your Mind." You know, "Don't Let Go," a whole bunch of songs like that.
Yeah.
Never Gonna Get It.
I remember her.
Yeah. So I mean, you know, super talented, and but whatever she's doing now seems to be working for her. And you know, the world is changing. And the fact that, you know, you can live in your car, which about 40% of the homeless here in Los Angeles do. They live in their cars.
Yeah.
But if she loves it, if she's happy with it, more power to her, as long as she's safe. You know, announcing that online kind of makes me a little nervous because I want her to be safe.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's kind of it.
Yep.
I should look and see.
Yeah, we got like another minute.
Yeah, but there's.
I don't know. We had one thing in bold. Was that something to talk about? That was
Yeah,
like points
usually. Oh, it's the Cujo movie, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
It's
don't know why.
basically just kind of a quickie thing. If you're a Stephen King fan, Netflix is working on a new version of Cujo that's going back to the well for Stephen King. His movie came out in 1981.
Yeah, pretty much.
They had a 1983 movie which had Dee Wallace in it. It was good.
Yeah.
It was a good movie. And of course they made fun of it. If you saw the recent Ghostbusters movies, they made fun of it in Ghostbusters Afterlife, where Paul Rudd's character put it on to entertain his students because he didn't really want to teach them, which was pretty funny.
The science class, yeah.
Right. It's like, hey, watch this about a killer dog. But they're also turning The Running Man and The Long Walk into movies, more Stephen King stuff. So,
ooh, boy, yeah. I mean, if they do The Long Walk, that's a sleeper and a half, boy.
I don't know.
Because
I have to see.
Yeah.
And there's a prequel
They're gonna have
series
2 episodes.
There's a prequel series to It called Welcome to Derry.
Oh, yeah.
Which Bill Skarsgård is coming back as Pennywise. That could be interesting too. Okay, now that we have probably officially gone over, I'll remind you guys, this is Docking Bay 94. I am Sean Obi-Shawn Crosby.
This is Jeff Soul, Donoho.
You are listening to sci-fi.radio. Sci-fi for your Wi-Fi. That's the URL, sci-fi.radio. Go check it out. Lots of news and videos and entertainment and stuff. You can listen to the station right over there. I will be on the air tomorrow from 9 to 11, which is the morning show that I do. That's Pacific time. You can change that to whatever your time zone happens to be. That'll be 12 noon Eastern time. And I do that Monday through Friday. Also, you're watching us on YouTube or Twitch or Facebook. All of those are great. We really appreciate you guys tuning in and hanging out with us. All the people who are still with us, Lady A and Lori and David and Eric, and all the folks that are still lurking with us at this late time are awesome.
Yeah, hi, folks.
Big, huge thanks to Boba-Kit, as always, for all the hard work she does.
Always.
Colleen is starting to feel better, so that's a good thing, but she's just a little too tired to join us tonight. So you get the dude show with us. And we'll be back again next Thursday to do this all over again. So be good people, won't you? And we'll see you then.
Good night, everybody.
Let's see. I'll get some credits over here for all y'all who are watching on the video. See ya, video people.